Alright people, hope you're having a good Friday. I'm just chilling in the gaff. My wee boy's gone with his grandpa today, so gaff to myself, so just chilling, watch telly. He's got to do a wee video about knife crime, um, which is obviously quite a controversial topic. Obviously Scotland used to be, well, it kinda is well known for it, but yeah, I think we're seeing a lot of kind of knife crime down London just now. Like, I think I just looked in the papers today and there was somebody stabbed to death outside a Domino's or something. Just, honestly, man, utter madness. But this is a topic that I have personal experience with through being a perpetrator and a victim. And when I say victim like that, what I mean is, obviously I've been stabbed more than once, right? And a lot of the time I was carrying weapons anyway, so is what it is, innit? You're going to involve yourself in that, shit's going to happen, do you know what I mean? So, the first time I had ever been stabbed, I was 14-year-old. Went right through my arm, it was a kitchen knife. Right through my arm, right through to the other side, so I went to hospital, got like 80 odd stitches, microsurgery, all that kind of stuff, right? But the thing is, right, it was actually a family member stabbed me. But in all fairness, I tried to stab him first because there was these boys for his area who I just didn't get on with, and me and my pals chased them. And we'd been drinking, right? So we're underage drinking, quite not all the time, but when we were underage drinking, and we would fucking just cause it all the time, right? Which is quite a it's still going on the now, and it was going on before I showed up. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of a cultural thing. So he had me and him were arguing, and two of us were fucking steaming. You know what I mean? He's the same age as me. He's passed on now, but um, and I had went and got a knife and attacked him with it, but his dad decked us, and I dropped the knife. And when I had dropped it, he picked it up and just, when I was on the flare, stabbed me through the arm. Now, one thing, he used to tell me all the time how he regretted that. And I used to kind of think, why? Because I tried to, it would have been you. It would have been you if you didn't do it to me, right? But, you know what I mean? We're all different, but I always think to myself, see, instead of getting in here, what if I had went in there? Wouldn't it be sitting here the now? 14-year-old fucking deed. Do you know what I mean? And that's just fucking, this all kind of came about like after my dad passed away the year before, right? And I was just on a fast track to fucking hell. Not only did I have no concern for anybody else's safety, I had no concern about my own safety. Do you know what I mean? I used to think like, it's no the blade, it's the guy holding it. And basically what I mean by that is, back then, if I thought I could take you in a fight, I wouldn't have cared if you had a knife. And that is completely fucking stupid, because you don't need to be able to fight for a fucking knife to slip the wrong way in a fight and it fucking goes in somewhere vital. Total fucking insanity, man. And the thing is, like, obviously I carried, like, when I was younger, and um, a lot of the times when I've opened the paper or whatever, and or on the news and see some wee guy that's been murdered somewhere with a blade, I just think that could have been me. Either the guy using it or the guy got it used on him. And people always say to me all the time, you should go around schools and do this and do that. And I go, well, my current thinking the now, it's not really something I would be up for doing, and a lot it's to do with how I present myself and how I speak about it, because you don't want to be talking about these kind of things like you're posturing like, oh, look at what I done, and you don't want it coming across like that, because that's just the wrong fucking message for a start. So the thing is, but like I'm seeing the now that this is still going on, right? Maybe it's no as bad in my area, maybe it's no when I was going about, but who's to say it will not get worse? Do you know what I mean? And a lot of it's kind of people that maybe I know grew up with, or just people that live locally. And in this social media age, like you're seeing people who are, say, using a knife, but see, rather than try to help somebody, they're all standing and videoing it. Like, could be somebody's last moments. Imagine that was your kid that done that, or that was your kid, touch wood, that was lying there and you're watching their last moments. I can't tell you how gut wrenching that feels. Even as I'm talking about it, I feel uncomfortable. And to know that I could have caused that to somebody else is quite, how do I put it? It's fucking scary. Just to be frank, it's fucking scary, you know what I mean? And that wasn't even the first time I'd been stabbed. One time I got fucking stabbed right through there with a Stanley knife. My lip was hanging out my mouth. Can still feel the scar, but obviously you can't see it because the blade went in, done that, went right up like that. So I'm lucky it didn't come fucking right out and it looked like big scar on my fucking face, know what I mean? Nearly had my fingers cut off. That I'm not going to lie, that was my fault. There was these two guys who were, I was going with a lassie for another scheme where I wasn't popular, right? And I was kind of staying in her house a lot when I got out. I was 19, 20, I was a young boy, still full of fucking piss and vinegar, know what I mean? And I'd been drinking, right? And I fucking walked out of the shop and I seen two of these boys that were giving her hassle when I was in the jail, right? And I knew one of them for school. So, started talking to them and all that. But they must have sensed something was up, because I didn't see one of them putting a knife down his fucking... They're like, that man sitting in my house and all that, right? The boy I knew for school, right? So I was sitting in their house drinking with them and all that, which is fucking completely stupid anyway, because they could have phoned somebody and they could have turned up numbers and fucking put us in a fucking body bag if they wanted to. Know what I mean? So, cut a long story short, we've ended up getting back out of the shop and I blacked out. Next thing I know, man, I smacked one of them in the face with a bottle, and I've turned around and the other one was just standing holding the knife like that. Like, my back was to him, he could have just put that right through my spine, through my heart. Fucking could have killed us if it wasn't he thinking, or if he was daft enough to do it, whatever. And I turned around, right, like a fucking fool, and grabbed the knife with my fingers and then grabbed him and kept just headbutting him. And he's twisting this fucking big bowie knife, man. And it's just sawn right through my fingers. But I had drunk like, say, 3 bottles of Bucky that day. And I couldn't feel that. But see, the next day, man, holy fuck. The pain in my fingers was unreal. So that was another time I could have ended up fucking stabbed to fuck. And that's how I'm saying I had no regard for my own safety. I was complete fucking stupid, man. But the thing is, I know, right, like, I remember, so when I got recalled in 2011, right, I was sitting watching the news one day in Berlin prison, right, and it was saying on the news how some guy had been stabbed to death in the Gorbals, right, and I said to my cellmate, co-pilot as we call it, I says to him, bet you any money I either know the boy done that or the person that got killed. So in Berlin, right, see when anything happens out in the street in Glasgow, man, somebody in Berlin knows about it, doesn't it? If it's a murder, some fucking big bank robbery, somebody knows, because everybody knows somebody fae wherever. So one of the past men was going about collecting the dishes, right? And I can't mind how the subject came up, but the past man told my co-pilot the name of the boy who had died. And I was like, that's my cousin, my young cousin, right? Hadn't seen him for years. But while I was out, me and his brother, me and him had been jumping about up Castlemilk, getting mad with it, fucking getting a laugh, whatever, right? Some boy, man. But so his bra had been stabbed to death in the gobbles, right? So my other cousin's boyfriend was in the hall, and we ended up turning out the boy who done it. I knew him as well. Because as I explained before, like, my mum and dad are fae down that area, but my dad moved away when he had me and my brother and all that shit, right? But obviously all my ma's side are all still there. So basically, when I was a kid, I stayed with my ma for about fucking, was it a year and a bit, something like that, right? And this is how I knew, I was only 12, this is how I knew this boy. And the funny thing is, right, see about 2008, he was a couple of doors down for me in shots, right? And I nearly battered him one time because he actually, it was our fried egg, believe it or not, because I didn't like the fried eggs, right? But in the jail, like, if somebody likes them, you can swap it for sausage, black, whatever, right? And one time I gave it to him, but he went down and took it the next time when I went in and spoke to him, but I wasn't aggressive about it. I was just assertive. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, so when I found out it was him that done it, I was like, he's coming in here. So, and he doesn't know I'm here. So I was on the tap flat in A Hall, and the tap flat was all convicted, but then you had like this, they ended up, it went for like a convicted hall to like the first couple of flats were all remands. It used to be the second flat was all remands, then it was second and the third. But the tap, the landing I was on, was all convicted, so they put him almost directly underneath me, right? He was in the third flat, number 2, and I was in the fourth flat, number 4. So he's only a couple of doors down, know what I mean? And I could hear somebody shouting on him out the window, a boy I knew, right? And I'm fucking get my ear hanging out the window, pure tuning in, know what I mean? But he was just he sounded like he was being dead guarded. Like, he wasn't asking him questions about what he was in for, but it was almost like I could smell the para ripping at him or something. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to smash his fucking head in. And the funny thing is, being a extended sentence prisoner, when I went back in, my parole papers kicked in automatically, right? So basically, you've got a shot at getting parole basically 6 weeks after you go in, right? So I was sitting thinking, this is going to fuck my parole. I've just said away and blah blah blah. But then that day I got opened up and I walked down to the third. I kidded on, I was going for a shower and I walked down the stairs. If I screwed, I seen me doing that, I would probably got us into a bit of shit. Or they'd have been like, what you up to? And I went down, looked at the board just to make sure I knew what cell he was in, right? And obviously the whisper mill had kicked in, he's in, blah, what you doing him, da, right? But I wasn't peer pressured like for the people in the prison. I just felt like I'm the closest to him. And the funny thing is, I think my cousin who got murdered, I think his brother was actually in Berlin, but obviously they're keeping them separated. Do you know what I mean? They're not going to put the two in the fucking same hall. Not a chance. But they didn't know that the guy who died was my cousin, because we've got different second names. Do you know what I mean? So I get called down to see a nurse or something that morning, and I was sitting thinking, should I say something just to get him moved so as I don't need to do anything to him, and then that way I could still go for my parole. I could try and get out for my weigh-in and all that, but my weigh-in was just born, right? This is how I rationalised it. I was like, nah, I'm busting him, man. So ended up fucking, when they called exercise, right, my pal was got to bushwhack him and all, a boy from my bit. He's not here now. Crazy as fuck, but he's like, we'll get him out in the yard. But I wasn't like, I was making sure I was wanting to get him wherever I seen him. Like, I wasn't giving him time to go out there and meet cunts. Maybe somebody would give him a tool, whatever. But I'm walking down the stairs, right, with my co-pilot, because I'd been up all night thinking about this. This is how fucking, I was thinking every possible thing that could go wrong, whatever, right? And I'm walking down the stairs, he's standing right in fucking front of me, looking at me, but I didn't see him. That's how, don't even think I had my glasses on, right, because I'm short-sighted. He's standing like to the left of me, but his cell was on the right, so he must have walked right round instead of just walking straight up. As if, I don't know, as if he thought like somebody had already been down looking for him. And I'm looking away down to his cell, right? And I'm like, his door's locked, he must be a way out. And then I does that and turns round, he's standing right in front of me, right? And I was like, how are we doing, mate? And then I just ran at him and I was swinging all sorts of punches, right? But he wasn't even trying to fight back or nothing. He was just running backwards, see like a rabbit in the headlights, right? And he dropped something. It wasn't a good one, obviously. It was just it was like a fucking, a shitey wee jail shank, but it was made out of fucking, it wasn't really anything that you'd worry about. It wasn't even metal, do you know what I mean? It was like made out of a fucking plastic tray or something. It was pish. Just like a triangle shape with a fucking pishy wee horn on it. Wouldn't have done much damage unless you would have seen him coming with it anyway, you know what I mean? They dropped it. So, didn't even land a punch, right? And by the time the screws have shouted lock up, because obviously they seen me running at them, and it's like the landing's pure narrow, so there's no a lot of fucking, it's not like you can run round in circles and dodge me and zigzag. You can only go in a fucking straight line. Them day who, if you're ever in a fight, the last thing you do is move in a straight line. So when I've heard lock up, I thought to myself, I've not got much time to land any blows on him, man, because I'm going to get rugby tackled any minute. So I just ran at him, right, and like rushed him, and he's fell against a locked cell door. The door was locked, so he's trapped in this doorway, and I'm just fucking just punching fuck at him, and he was just sitting on the ground covering his head, man, and I was booting him and all that, and then my co-pilot, he seen the screws coming, and he's ran up and booted him right in the teeth, right. So they put the screws have all ran down and split all that shit. Put me and my cellmate back in my own gaff. And I says, would you boot him the teeth for? And he's like, I don't know, I just done it. It's like, you're some boy, man. And then, so me and him were on report. And we're sitting in the cell that day. And then later on, the screws have come in and says, we're taking you to the SEG, the Wendy House in Bar, it's called, right? The digger, it's called the Wendy House. And they put me and him down there for like a week. And the boy we battered get moved. And then me and him get separated. Me and my co-pilot get separated. I went back to A-Hall. Did I go back to I went back to A-Hall. And he went to B-Hall, but the boy we had battered get moved to fucking Greenock or something, and he was eventually found guilty and gied a lifer. But to think that No, he wasn't even, this boy who killed my cousin, wasn't he big, he was just a wee tiny skinny frail looking boy, whereas my cousin, he was like known for being able, apparently he was known for being able to kind of use his horns, and I don't mean known for being a bully, but I mean as he's meant to have been able. So it just shows you that it doesn't matter who the fuck you are, or how big you are, or how good you can fight. Somebody, if there's a knife in that situation, man, I would advise you to fucking run. And it's bad days when I tell my kid the dangers of using knives or something. I tell him all the time, if you're ever in a situation where somebody draws a knife on you, fucking run. I don't care, like, if people think you're a shite, but whatever, I don't care. Run. Do you know what I mean? Because there's so many things that can go wrong, do you know what I mean? And it's just, it's what I said before, you're reading these things in the papers every other fucking day, do you know what I mean? And some wee guy's life's been snuffed out, and it's always the same story, you know what I mean? It's always they were at a party and they started drinking, and I've been there, do you know what I mean? It's just nae good, man. There's nae good can ever come out of carrying any sort of fucking weapon, do you know what I mean? And you'll get people like saying, like, well, what do they carry them for? A lot of it's to do with self-protection, thinking the other guy's got one, or whatever, right? Because I've been there myself, do you know what I mean? But the thing is, I think every time, with the exception, one time I done it premeditated, right? I did use a knife on somebody because they had set about us with like pickaxe poles and all that, right? Had staples in my head. So I seen him a week later and obviously used a knife, right? But any other time I had a knife used on me was because I introduced a knife into that situation. Well, apart from that time with my fingers. I wasn't carrying a weapon that day, you know what I mean? But I remember this woman who was an ex-copper came into the jail to do a talk on all this, and she said, see the amount of murder scenes I've been to where the victim was killed with a knife they had brought, it was their knife, that just hurt me like a ton of bricks, man. Do you know what I mean? So it tells you yourself, a lot of the times it's going to be somebody picking up a knife and the guy going to scare the guy, whatever, right? And the person gets it off them and it's fucking goodbye, man. And the thing is, if I could say anything to anybody who's watching this that does carry or has carried, I would say you're fucking dicing with death, man. Put it down, put it away, because if you're unfortunate enough to get that knife used on you and it hits something vital, you're going to have a good 60 seconds. Your life's got to be flashing before your eyes, man. And there's no rewind button. There's no restart button. You've only got one fucking life, and if you lose it, think of all the people left behind in your wake, man, that are going to have to try and pick up the pieces. Heck, there's got to be somebody out there you don't want to cause that kind of pain and hurt. And like, I even now, I couldn't even fathom using a knife for anything other than fucking chopping vegetables or something. Like, I'm not even going to lie, I don't even like having fucking knives in my house now. So there you go, and this is somebody talking who's, don't want to say lived by the knife. Like, I'm fucking trying to glamorise it as if I was some sort of fucking cowboy, not modern day cowboy, you know what I mean? But there is no good that can ever come here. And so what if somebody you're like, oh, but somebody else is doing it? No, well, that's them. You need to think about yourself. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to lie, right, my wee boys just started high school, but and I put them into self-defence classes, not because any sort of fear of something coming back to me or whatever, just because the discipline of it, the fitness, and plus you want your family members to be able to look after themselves, you know what I mean? And the thing is with a lot of people that do self-defence, they're not really temperamental. They're no, for doing it for a young age anyway, it teaches them that kind of, they know they can do it, but they know they don't need to unless they're at risk. Their safety's at risk. They don't just go about using it, do you know what I mean? But the time that I went away, man, knife crime was at an all-time high, I think, and that was how, I think it was 2004, 2005. Glasgow was, somebody had, I don't know if it was in newspapers or some fucking think tank, whatever, called it the murder capital of Western Europe. Now, there was something like fucking, I think there was 2 murders every fucking weekend or something like that back then, and the thing that I had done, even though I wasn't the person to use the blade that time, I was did the biggest sentence because I had previous for it, and they established in court that I wasn't the person to use it, but it didn't matter. I was the one with the previous for it, so you carry the co-accused in court, as we say, like you're carrying them. So, do you know what I mean? And it was, that was part of the reason that when I went to jail and I got that long to think about it, that I started doing my education, not, and my education and my son were basically the biggest kind of catalyst for transformation, for change, that helped me kind of own what they call desistance journey, the desistance journey, how to stop committing crimes, how do we help ex-offenders stop committing crimes, change their ways and then lead law-abiding lives, do you know what I mean? And I'd like to do a video on desistance at some point, but I want to go back to the literature. I don't want to be fucking jumping from thing to thing all the time. Do you know what I mean? So I want to do a video on that, but I want to make it good, you know what I mean? I don't want to be kind of all the fucking pitch with it. Sound like what's he talking about? But I just, as I'm saying, back to the knife crime shit, I think there was all these kind of initiatives, bin the blade and all this kind of stuff, but for every blade that's getting held in, there's probably another 2 in the street, do you know what I mean? And they're no hard to get a hold of, do you know what I mean? And there's documentaries, and even, listen man, we all know that knife crime wasn't just about in my time. This has been going on for fucking decades, man. This is a huge issue in our culture, and as I said before, down London it was always shootings and all that. Now it's all stabbings, you know what I mean? And it's localised to certain bits of London, obviously, probably the same way it is in most other places it's happening, but it is starting to become worrisome, do you know what I mean? Because nobody went, like, there was another case, was it 2 years ago or something, some wee guy was stabbed to death in the town centre, in the train station, and it was on, I think it was like videoed and went, like, imagine how the parents must have felt. Their wee boy, you know what I mean, 14-year-old boy, fucking life, just lost his life, you know what I mean? And people might go, but you were doing that back then, not I, right? But I look at it completely differently now. And being a dad, being a parent, you know what I mean? It's like, Jesus, man, I couldn't imagine that. Do you know what I mean? Going through that. That must be fucking soul destroying, to put it lightly. So I would just like to say that if anybody does watch this and they use or have used or they carry, think about what the fuck you're doing, man. Put it down. Try and find a way out of what you're doing, because it's only going to end two ways: in the jail or in a box. And doesn't sound too appealing. Do you know what I mean? I'm just fortunate enough that I wasn't killed, or I'm also fortunate I've never killed MD using a knife, and I'm also fortunate that I was able to make it to the end of that sentence, and I was also fortunate that I was able to change. Do you know what I mean? But like I've said, the mountain gets less steep the more you climb it. Do you know what I mean? And having things in your life of value that you're too scared to lose, you couldn't imagine doing without, whether it's your missus, your wains, that all helps. Do you know what I mean? That helps you stay on that path of staying away from the crime and all that shit, know what I mean? So when I seen that thing in the paper the day about some young boy losing his life down London, I thought I want to do a wee video on knife crime, because obviously it's something I have personal experience with for both ends. Do you know what I mean? So that's the message of the day, and hopefully there's somebody that watches this and that does think about it, because like I said, obviously speaking for both ends, you know what I mean, I'm lucky that I'm not doing life, and I'm lucky that I've never took a life, and I'm also lucky that mine life wasn't taken in the course of my kind of offending years. So hope you've enjoyed that, and I'll catch up with you next time.